traveling, whether it's overseas or a few countries over from Poland down here to Spain, you're playing on brand new maps. You're playing in a live tournament. The setting's always a little bit different. Strange things can happen when you add all these factors together. And personally, as someone who likes seeing the players tested, I want to see some messy games, Wardy. I want to see some things go wrong, see the players show some grit, fight back from it. And I also want to figure out what the heck is going on these maps, because it's so fresh, we really don't know what to expect.
I'm really excited to see who finds the abusable things, right? Who finds the things that you're not ready for, and they get into that position, and the game just spirals from there a little bit.
Yes.
But I gotta say, I feel like MaNa's got to be so well prepared. You know, he's been in that Team Liquid team house, he's been boot camping. These guys have been looking at these maps together, grinding them out, thinking about them, talking about this sort of stuff all day long. I think that's going to go a huge way in this event. You know, I feel like these guys have been able to discuss and figure these maps out better than most other players, because they've been in person together, just getting it done.
It's cool to see them take that serious approach to it and say, hey, let's just set up with the best possible situation to try and get it done now. Vindicta is hiding a bunker behind the Nexus. I like the way you could see his SCV skirted along the top of the base while the pylon was building, so it was not able to spot it. Buildings have very limited vision until they're finished building, and that means that bunker will go up. An Adept first, no Stalker, no battery started on the low ground. This is going to cause a big mining delay on that expansion. Yeah,
it's a little bit rough, isn't it? Because usually the bunker's kind of going in between the mineral lines a lot of the time nowadays, but Rigor is here. Bunker is down, finished, and MaNa's going to have to deal with this. Finally a Stalker on the way to get this started up and to really deal with this. Obviously the Adept can do okay, but it doesn't have the range of the Stalker to try and hit the SCV. It doesn't really deal as much damage to that bunker, so nice to have the Stalker coming up as well. But for now, this Reaper will just control this low ground and slow down any probes that would like to mine here.
Yep, just going to hop inside that bunker. And of course, now MaNa realizing what he's up against. He's going to have to put down a shield battery immediately so that he can break on out. And these probes, unable to mine, they're going to have to go back up to that main base behind it. Factory's finished, reactors on the way, bunker going down in front of the expansion. And just a nice way to slow the openings down, throw the Protoss player off a little bit. And the Oracle is going to be the follow-up for MaNa.
Yeah, Oracle at least can slip around that bunker, of course, get some information, maybe pick up an SCV or two if you're feeling good. Obviously got to be very careful of Widow Mines, although right now, just that initial Hellion from the factory. We'll see what the follow-up will be. There's Adept really wants to shade on out of here right about now, but it is just actually going to get out. Wow. Okay, Adept pushing it close, but getting away. Second Oracle on the way as well for MaNa, so not just going to stick with the one.
I kind of like the probes long distance mining from the third base there just to get a little bit of value in the meantime. Obviously, this is not what you want. It's not particularly efficient, but making the most of a bad spot. Hellion actually could catch those probes out, though. Ooh!
Wow, I feel like you should get the shot off, because if nothing else, it'll drain so much battery energy when this, probes run back in. He really just wants the scout, though. He's desperate to find out exactly what's happening in this main base, but the Oracle shows up across the map anyway, so now we see SCVs going down, and he doesn't have a Widow Mine here, so these SCVs just have to go running, and that's a lot of lost mining time, and that is MaNa getting right back into this game after this early harassment. 5 SCVs, still not mining in the main base, make it 6 to wrap this Oracle's first attack up.
Yeah, that's massive damage, isn't it? We've got a Viking now coming out, but a huge delay on the second and third barracks as a result of this. This opens up a window where MaNa can get up into that, blink or charge. He can add the third base, work his way forwards, and it really pins back the Terran's follow-up options.
Yeah, it really does. And losing even more SCVs here. There's the Viking with the Marine Fire as well. The Oracle will be pushed back low on HP, sneaks in the Revelation. The Reaper comes back into the main base. If you can grab 1 or 2 more probes here, just try to offset some of the damage you have taken. You're already not in a pretty place, but at least this will try and even out. He gets 2, so at least makes up for that second Oracle that had just flown in.
He really can't take any more damage, though. Vindicta needs to shut this down, and that's a good start to it, pushing that Oracle back. He's got to have a very clean next few minutes. Just kind of looking at it in terms of benchmarks, the second and third barracks are normally down maybe 4 minutes, sometimes earlier than that. In this case, they're still not finished. It's almost 5 minutes 30. We've got the Nexus on the third, the charge, the +1, and that probe count is just going to grow so quickly.
Do you think he needs to get aggressive with the Raven, send it across the map, try and auto-turret, or would you rather him just keep it at home, build up that energy, and then go for that larger attack, hit the missile on the Zealots or something along those lines?
I mean, I really feel like in this scenario, getting counter damage is almost a necessity, right? Yeah. It's like, man, get over there, do some damage. He opened Oracle, good chance he's going Blink after that. He's not, in fact, he is going Charge and adding a Phoenix, maybe multiple Phoenix after that as well. It's kind of a weird thing, though. If you know that Phoenix are being built, you do not want that Raven to go across the map. So, I mean, my instincts are to do what Vindicta's doing, get over there, drop some auto turrets, But if the Phoenix runs into that, it's just going to shut it down so quickly.
Yeah, I actually feel like it's really unfortunate a little bit here for Vindicta, as we actually haven't continued to build a Phoenix right now. MaNa has just got that one parked on the bottom side. I wonder if he just picked up on that info with the Oracle, and now he's just capitalizing on it. This Phoenix is so close to being able to get the Raven.
Oh,
and
man.
Yeah, now you can just chase this all the way home. You might have to skirt around an auto turret or two, but they will not last forever. And this Raven is pretty much as good as dead. The Phoenix gets the kill, and that's expensive because there's so much utility that sits on a Raven. To lose out on it this quickly is brutal. You're missing out on so much opportunity further down the line now.
Very rough start to the game for Vindicta. He's going to have to knuckle down and show us what he's made of. The Oracles are going to be, of course, the only real map vision. If MaNa slips up and loses those, that's one way that Vindicta can start to surprise him positionally, find his ways around, but the Robo Bay is on the way. Stasis Trap's getting popped down. This is a lot of different things that are looking fantastic for the Protoss. With no third command center on the way, it's going to become more and more, I guess, just need for the Terran to do damage. Like, it starts to feel like it's a 2-base all-in when you're this far behind on the workers.
Yeah, it gets to that point where it's like, well, he's going to put the third CC down, but if he doesn't do a lot with this push right now, he is in so much trouble. The Oracle will at least go down to the Cyclone, so we get rid of that. There is one more, and that can still be used to track this army across the map. We had a second lock on, though, and that medevac keeps the vision for just not quite enough time. The Cyclone got out of range because of the bridge. Well, MaNa at least knows this army is coming. He's had time to prepare. Gonna have a little Viking drop in one of these bases so you can try and get a probe or two, act as a distraction, and maybe force a warp in while the real threat gets into position.
Yeah, that Viking did take a little bit of time, though, so it's not really going to do anything. And MaNa, he's up front. Can he stop this move up the ramp? The army's going to be moving on in right now. One Colossus already out. This is a huge problem. Vindicta is focusing on Widowmine production. He doesn't have a lot of ranged firepower. A single tank. Oh, good Widowmine hit. But yeah, this is just going to be stalling out and going to the next stage. Vindicta just happy to go and play that macro game. He's not going to try and force the issue. He's going to try and drag his way back in the long game. And I think that means he's got to head towards Ghosts, look for that big killer army, and just look for fantastic engagements.
Yeah, he's got to play this like very slow right now, very defensive. If you weren't going to attack there, which I don't necessarily disagree with, there's not going to be another opening for you to attack as this Colossus count rises up. Maybe right now this could get interesting because MaNa's down this ramp. He's going to charge into this. Yeah, Vindicta has to start scouting away right away because otherwise he was going to be losing out big time.
Widowmine drops, always a good comeback mechanic, something that's nice to slip in there. Very low investment for massive potential payoff. Make sure the Protoss player has detection at each base. Extra photon cannon's going to go down. All of those little details. And Vindicta right now, he's doing a good job of macroing, but I'm worried about the Colossus counterattack that can come over here. As the Warp Prism starts up, that means we're going to have a 3 Colossus attack, Mass Zealot Arc on +2. It's lining up so nicely here for MaNa.
Yep, he's in position defensively as well, making sure those Widowmines can't sneak in and throw him off his own game plan. So you can stick to what he's been setting up for. A couple of Archons going to add that tankiness, and yeah, this is going to be a tough attack to stop. We do see a Viking count building up, but it's getting to that stage where with this amount of Zealots and Archons as well, you kind of need to have the Ghosts too, and without them, it's really relying on MaNa to take a very bad fight into Vindicta. So that's what Vindicta's sort of hoping for here. These few Zealots on the top won't find much since the tower sees them, so they will just back it up for now and wait for a later point in this game to maybe make an impact. Oracle goes down.
Yeah, it's a good snipe, that extra Oracle going down. Widowmine drop will come in as well. Vindicta loves his harassment plays. Not going to find too much with this one, but I like the unburrow micro just to force a bit more of a distraction there. And very cute adjustments. Ghost Academy is on the way right now. Doesn't even end up firing. He just says, nope, that's fine. I don't want the single probe kills. Let's just get out of there.
Yeah. Do you see the two Vikings just missing the prism off to the northern side, by the way? So that is unfortunate because that could have been a shutdown. This is out of range of sensor towers. I believe there's even a blank spot in the main base he can't see. The Phoenix lift both Widowmines here, so this will be dealt with without dealing any damage as well. And here comes the army at the same time as MaNa is going to be setting up all over the place, warping into the main base with a chunk of Zealots too. And this really will be all over the place right now as the Zealots coming in from the left side. Zealots already in the main. MaNa's main army on the third. That might not even have to attack in. He is just going to poke into that CC, but he doesn't have to do much. The Zealots alone are likely to get a lot done now.
Good cancel on that command center. Third base and main base under assault simultaneously by the Zealots. Remember, MaNa's up to triple Robo behind this. He's got double Forge going. He's got an amazing follow-up, and he's doing huge damage right now.
Yeah, extra Zealots into the main base, so that attack is extended. Just as it might have started to peter out, he gets more there to keep it going. this main army hasn't been able to do all too much. It was held off pretty nicely. He did cancel the 4th base. Vindicta is going to hold on, but losing 20 SCVs, his economy is going to be in a lot of trouble. And with Disruptors out, it feels like Vindicta needs to go across the map, but he won't be able to because he's going to clash into defensive Disruptors. They are extremely tough to break into, and it feels like Vindicta is in a world of trouble here in Game 1.
Yeah, I like the idea of picking up and dropping. He's got to go massive risk, massive reward play. You can't play safe anymore. Your 4th command center is so slow. You're down 30 workers. You've got to go for broke. Some Doom drops, some crazy harassment, get some Liberators out there. And you just have to be so careful because MaNa, he's shown an understanding of how to pick you apart with multiple fights from different areas. He's doing it again. Zealots on the top, army gathering on the bottom to try and pressure here, looking for an opening. But the drop of Vindicta does find those Zealots. It's the army on the south that's really scary.
Yeah, blinking straight in here, gets rid of the tank. The Disruptor flank as well. Vindicta didn't know which way to split right there. Another Disruptor from afar. This one not really going to hit much, but helping to zone as we do have to fall back. Those Colossi in trouble. One will go down, only one remains. And we are being chased. The Disruptors will do what they can to slow this chase down. He's going to try to drop the recall. How much do we lose? One more Disruptor and one left behind. MaNa had to get out of there, and great defense from Vindicta, keeping himself alive in this game where he should have been in so much trouble.
MaNa just reaching a bit too far there. He was in a fantastic position, but he had no reinforcement point. His army was a little small. There was just a couple Zealots on the north that got caught. He should have been backing away with that army. He's now given Vindicta a little bit of room to breathe. Vindicta's going to try and counter push. He's going to hunt for some more damage right now. 1-1 upgrades versus 2-1 in favor of MaNa. MaNa's got a lot of Disruptors, but they're not here right now.
No, they are not here at all. They're coming in from the bottom side, but they could maybe get jumped on. Vindicta's going to jump on one. He's going to go for 2, and then he does cancel the shots as the Disruptors have tried to come in. Now they're going all over the place. MaNa a little bit here and there as the Bioforce does get out of there. Good quick reactions from Vindicta, but those moments are so dangerous.
You got to remember, mate, America, their national pastime is dodgeball. They're pretty good at avoiding those Disruptor shots. MaNa, not used to Terrans that are able to do that, but he's got the Warp Prism inside the main base. Now, he doesn't really have an attack anywhere else. So far, Vindicta handling this pretty well with pulling his SCVs out of the main. He just has so far to go to get back in there. And this is allowing MaNa to push to the front. If MaNa can take the 4th out at the same time, this would be massive.
Yeah, MaNa wasn't immediately in position, but what this allows him to do is to get in position with that main army, and then he can zone consistently with the Disruptors, so then Vindicta shouldn't really be able to get in position to defend this space unless MaNa messes up the Disruptor cast, and already you see those coming out. The first Disruptor doesn't quite hit that bad, but the SCVs are going down. The base will not fall just yet, as now Bio units. Okay, that Disruptor shot went a bit too far. Dangerous games, and a couple misses on both sides.
Oof, the Zealots in the main still doing damage. Vindicta's trying to hunt this army down to punish MaNa, but once again, big amounts of economic damage going down Wardy, 16 SCVs. MaNa is maxed out permanently with 88 probes. His economy is roaring. And it really feels like Vindicta needs to outclass MaNa in late game battles to get back into this one. There's no real advantages for the Terran. He's got to just kind of knuckle down and say, all right, I'm not going to let a single Disruptor hit me. I'm going to spread perfectly, have just the right Viking count to kill your Colossus, and also I'm going to start picking some bases off because your economy's getting out of control.
Yeah, some of these fights have been okay for him, but okay is just not good enough. Okay would be fine if he was counterattacking, hitting a base, getting some damage done. Love this, get a Liberator in there, start dealing some damage. Anything you can do to slow this economy down, because MaNa has gone unchecked for too long. And not for lack of trying, his defense has just been able to shut down this aggression before it's even got going before now. So credit to MaNa there, as we do see Vindicta moving through the center. Looks like MaNa might want to try and catch this. He has Disruptors to set up, and well, he does have units top left as well, I believe. Just a bunch of Zealots that come for the flank. Vindicta sees these Disruptors and he dodges out once more.
That sneaky observer there giving some really great information advantage to MaNa. But once again, the army split catches the Zealot run by. Very fortuitous move out and split there for Vindicta. His army on the bottom, though, is much smaller. He's got to be careful.
He really does. Stalkers blinking in. Marines and Marauders continue to go down. We are chasing into the middle of the map as the Bio army comes back down the right-hand side. Observer just keeping vision. I like this little force up here, but the Zealots are going to see it. I mean, you might say you catch those Zealots, but I think for MaNa, nice to see that army was moving there because he had no other vision in that direction. His Zealots going to get cleaned up quickly, but MaNa can rotate top left, push that army back. Vindicta at least making moves right now where he's not taking damage, and he is keeping some map control, so MaNa can't get across the map into a favorable position. But man, that Stargate transition is well underway, and that's something the Protoss is very happy to sit back on and let happen if he has to.
There's a part of me that's worried that MaNa hasn't been able to finish the game yet. I feel like he's been so ahead for a while, but he's struggling with Vindicta's movement. The movement of Vindicta's very good, the way he's avoiding getting his army caught, threatening multiple areas, but there's still extra layers. Dark Templar coming in on the bottom side. And yes, you've also got a triple Stargate transition, air upgrades, carriers and Tempest can join in. There's so many things that could just suddenly win the game for MaNa. Vindicta still is hunting for the perfect engagement.
Yep, and he's been hunted for a while as MaNa is going to come up this right-hand side. He's going to blink in, get a shot or two off. Disruptors and Colossi supporting here as well. And these couple of barracks are well placed. They're going to just shut off the ease of access for MaNa. Finding into that planetary is not fun. And Vindicta's pulling the army from the top back along. The Observer will spot this in a second. MaNa, if you could jump on that, would absolutely love to just wreck that part of the army and then just go from there. But now he might get a little bit surrounded, backing away, using the areas on the map to his advantage. But it's a good surround from Vindicta. Will it be enough as he comes on in? Huge concave disruptors at least slowing down his approach on this army. The Colossus surviving the Viking shots for now, and the fight will disengage.
Good fight for Vindicta, though. It feels like these small engagements are going all right for him. We've said all right isn't good enough, but he's getting banked now. He is up to a lot of bases. He is actually managing to get his 3-3 as well. And the air transition hasn't happened yet. These Dark Templar will be a nuisance. And definitely looks like he doesn't quite have scans available down there. His army in the middle in a bit of problems. Ooh.
Nice playing, gets a medevac. Yeah, just these little things like not having to scan immediately for the DTs. It's just the extra damage he couldn't really take, and right now he's got that bank. He isn't spending it just yet. He's just staying around 180 supply. So just needs to deal with that.
Yeah, of course, MaNa not spotting where that Widow Mine was, thought it was in the grass, and not able to take that one out on the north side. Extra observers are in production. I think MaNa's got an amazing set of late game tools here, but I still am just a little worried that he hasn't been able to close the game out. I feel like he, after that first triple Zealot pronged attack with his army posturing at the same time, he should be able to do more than this. His Disruptor's wandering into the army.
Oh my goodness, he's going to lose 5 of them already. One finally connects, but that was the last shot he had. Now Vindicta's coming in from the north side as well. Will it be enough? Super Battery has popped, and we do have Zealots reinforcing this. But this is a massive win for Vindicta, resetting the Disruptor count big time. Only 2 left on the map. But is he going to have enough army left beyond this? Because he's still being chased down, he's being chased back. The Liberator sieges up. That will be the point of MaNa backing away from here, deciding not to go for it. And he will fall back one more time. A Disruptor shot just to give him some distance. And again, just can't quite keep on chasing. This map is quite defendable. You know, you've got every kind of base that Vindicta has is on a high ground and in the choke point, right? So you got to go through a choke, up a high ground into it. It's easy to hold on to these 4. I wonder where he takes a 5th. I guess bottom right. I wonder if that 5th base should now become the focus of MaNa, somewhere he can maybe get into more easily. He might just worry that it pulls him too out of position for the top left.
Oh, the mass DT run by. This is finally it. I was wondering why MaNa hadn't done this earlier, but watch that planetary, mate. Oh, but the bio stumbles into it. Takes out a bunch of the DTs. Double Lib is sieging up on the bottom bases while Vindicta defends this. This is doing a very good job of shutting that down, but the Phoenix looks like they were in position. The Liberators did go down. The Zealot DT going to come in for round 2.
Yep, just getting set up once again. Just wants to try and dive on this. There's a lot of bio there, though. I don't think that is diveable with just Zealot DT. There's a lot of quick damage output from that composition, but if there's enough bio to withstand the first shot or 2, generally it gets cleaned up, and it's a very expensive cleanup. Disruptor count at least back up and running from MaNa, but Vindicta's Ghost and Liberator count continue to rise right now and getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and as those ranged libs come in, he might need to go Tempest. Wow, a crazy move forward here. MaNa super confident, but he's got the Disruptors to zone back the bio. It just might pay off, but the Liberator's wearing him down there. And you can see Vindicta's army will reclaim control of this area. A couple of supply depots, not an issue at this stage of the game. And there we go. Finally, Tempest's queuing up. And I think it's 5 Stargates now, and +2 air weapons already done. Yeah, 5 Stargates. MaNa was just like, nah, once you get libs, I'll build Tempest, but otherwise I'm not a carrier guy. I'd rather stick to the ground army.
Yeah, it's nice to see something to answer the Liberators, because too many Liberators can become a problem. Massive fight breaks out over here. Storm is trying to deal with the libs. Disruptors are going down. It's just chaos, and these Disruptor shots have all been spent, so we're going to jump on the rest of them. They're all going to fall, and Vindicta's finding massive momentum through the top of the map. He will continue to chase, and Man, if he gets in position with the libs before the Tempests are out, I mean, the first ones are popping, but they might not be in position straight away. This is opportunity for him to get even more done. This Disruptor dies as well, and he just lost a base on the bottom. Now MaNa's going to lose a base on the top.
MaNa was in such a good spot dictating this game. His Dark Templar are still looking for an angle. Vindicta is crushing this base though, and he's going to be able to move up and take out the base above that as well, most likely. There we go though, Zealot Stalker Tempest going to start to clear out this army. The Nexus does go down. I think the Dark Templar got cleaned up though. I don't see any damage on the other side of the map. Vindicta doing a spectacular job.
They're still just moving around hunting, aren't they? But not being able to get in and deal damage already. This is where you expect the pros to take advantage. They're going to chase onto this army. The EMPs go down. We try to blink away. It's still going to be costly. Multiple DTs falling. And now MaNa's a bit all over the place as he arrives on this army. Disruptor shots are going to try and slow down. And with the corner, the Disruptors are able to get a connection. They do not get taken down. And now MaNa is maybe going to be able to take this momentum forward. Zealots are already charging through. The Tempests have cleaned up a couple libs. And he will not stop for now. Maybe the ramp will be enough to deter him because this Liberator is on top of it.
Right now, Vindicta needs a moment to rebuild. That is mostly a Zealot Stalker Tempest army. It's not a high-value army. Remember, there is a trap Protoss players fall into right now in this situation. We've seen so many do it where their army just ends up having no damage. Zealots, Stalkers, and Tempests is not a good army. You need the Disruptor count, and that's why MaNa's doing a great job of building those 3 at a time.
Oh, absolutely. Just going to be coming in here. These Tempests just going to be able to zone out all of the Liberators and so on. The Disruptors pushing the bio back, and now we're going to start getting on top of this base. And this base has been one which Vindicta's done great to keep alive up until now. But if he can't keep it alive now, he's not going to have much money in the bank, and he won't have a lot of fresh money to work with either. This new base for the moment is going to be the target for MaNa. Get rid of this one first. Maybe refocus on the bottom right in a few moments.
I'd like to see Vindicta split a drop-off onto the north of the map. Those bases are just sitting there undefended right now, and Vindicta's got nothing out there pressuring them. He is, of course, focusing on the frontal fight. MaNa with a 7,000 resource bank, even 8,000 now, and he's coming in to try and get the planetary. Vindicta's army's not there. He could come in from behind, but he can't walk into the Disruptors.
Oh, the flank from MaNa's good. The Zealots as well to help hold it back, and he is just about running out on the right side. He's still got the Tempest to dominate in the skies as well. In the end, Vindicta's ground army is somewhat okay, but those Tempests are just going to keep on chipping away at everything, and that eventually just means you get into position, Libs won't hold you back anymore, and then the Disruptors are going to be zoning, and MaNa has more and more reinforcements coming over. MaNa is rich, by the way. He's got so much money.
That is just an amazing amount of money. MaNa has worked his way ahead very steady and methodically. I was worried for him when he wasn't able to finish the game earlier, but I don't think there was ever a doubt in his mind that he was going to let go of the control of this game. He just said, hey, stay safe and solid. It's hard to attack up some of these ramps. Let's just pick away at him. And he's done it so well. The Dark Templar may not have found those huge money snipes that we were expecting, but the Disruptors have really done their job. The Tempests are making it so Vindicta doesn't even want to build Liberators anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and why would you? There's just enough of them to shoot down Liberators so quickly from afar. You'd rather get Vikings up, try and zone those back out, just as much bio as possible. It ain't pretty though, as MaNa keeps on expanding. We've seen pretty much every single base being taken on Tropical Sacrifice here as we go down the bottom right. This Planetary Fortress will fall. The Disruptor shot connects the edge of the Terran army as well. We just got that couple of Liberator defense. Tempest won't go after it for now. Just going to get the Liberator on the high ground instead. But man, that Tempest count's just getting ever higher.
I do like this drop in the north, but the DT Warpins are deadly, man. Even just 1 or 2 hits and the Marauders do start to fall there. Tempest, Disruptor, Stalker still just coming on forth. Vindicta does not have the army to stand up to this anymore, and he's got a tap.
GG's. MaNa gets a game number 1 victory here. Up 1-0 now in this best of 3. Pig, I was with you. This is a great start from MaNa. He was controlling the game, and then it did look scary. And even if you're comfortable with your position, some of these fights were very close to going too wrong, right? Where all of a sudden, you just can't recover if you lose that army. You lose a base, and then he's on top of some of your production, right? So, dangerous game for MaNa at points. Overall, still well controlled, got back into it and got back into that very commanding position. And if Vindicta didn't have such a rough start, it would have been terrifying, this game for MaNa.
Yeah, absolutely. He hung on so well, really utilized the defensive positions on the map so nicely, and I do like to see that that play from MaNa. Of course, he's going to be very aware of that one crucial misstep which he made, which was when he went with the army on the bottom with no reinforcement point, no warp prism, and it was right at the point when he was going triple robo, double forge, taking towards Dark Templars. He was taking like a 6th base at the time, so all of his investment was going into kind of economy and tech in the long term, and he let his army take a fight. And Terran players, man, if they see your army's just a little underfueled and they land those EMPs over everything, you need to have something to fall back on, whether it's a few disruptors further back behind your army or prism warping in zealot reinforcements. We saw him get caught without that and punished, but that's kind of the knife's edge that you play as a Protoss player, right? It's you threaten with your main army, you force the Terran to react, and then bam, the Zealots in the main, the Zealots in the third, running around. That's what he did so well in the early stages of the game. So MaNa's just got to make sure that when he goes for those maneuvers, he doesn't overstep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be a little bit of a tough one, right, to get back into this next game. That was such a scrappy game as well, right? We said we wanted scrappy, we wanted to see what was going on, what was happening. And on these maps, and just to see them kind of scrap it out, get crazy, and that really did. We saw so many flanks coming in. We saw so many people, disruptor shots from nowhere, and then Zealots coming in, but then the Bio Army surrounding at times as well. It was a really awesome game to see a lot of the aspects of Tropical Sacrifice. And now we're going to go on to another map. We're going to go on to Data Sea.
Ooh, all right. We are going under the sea indeed. Up here in the top right side of the map, repping the Cranky Ducklings. Let's see if he can get back in this series. It is Vindicta.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, our blue Protoss player from Team Liquid. This is MaNa.
So I've been thinking, Wardy, about new maps, new choke points, new bases to take, areas to attack and defend. My instinct is always it's much easier early on to be the aggressor than the defender when things aren't figured out, right? I think this is why often Terran players who are very timing attack focused do very well on new map pools for the first big tournament or two. I feel like stylistically we saw MaNa, as he met adversity, go to the mega macro stage, right? He was like, no, all right, chill back, just let's like get all the insurance. Makes sense in PvT especially, right? It's hard to force the Terran out of the game, but you can build those leads and then pick them apart slowly. I do wonder though, are we gonna see the very aggressive players really pop off at this tournament? Are we gonna see Dark mix in some of those all-ins later on? Or are we gonna see maybe, people have figured that this is actually a really good defensive map pool?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I do think some maps have those defensive capabilities. Like Tropical Sacrifice was a great example. This map is one of the larger maps as well. But there's definitely a lot of aggressive maps in this map pool too. And you're right, being the aggressor can be so much easier because you can just be like, oh, I'm going to attack up here. But as the defender, you've got to have that prior information. You've got to have that prior knowledge. And so much of StarCraft 2 at this level is game sense, right? It's like, oh, I feel like usually if you're attacking here, you're probably going to come from down there. And to build that up on new maps is tough. To build that up on 7 new maps at once is very tough. And it's obviously so different from maps that we've had for such a long time, where that game sense is ingrained into you every single day. It's going to be really fun, like just great tournament overall in that regard. Figure these maps out a little bit further, because every game is a learning experience still for these guys at this point.
Absolutely, dude. It's just eyes are glued to the screen trying to figure out how it's going to unravel. And I do know, by the way, for anyone who's been looking at these maps and checking them out, obviously we have heard news they will be on the ladder very soon, but in the meantime, we've already seen lots of little kind of adjustments to them, like tanks, I believe, could siege on that ledge before, and I think they already fixed that. They got rid of it, which I was kind of sad about. I kind of enjoy seeing some of the really ridiculous spots getting abused, but we've seen a few little adjustments to make these maps tournament ready already after just a few weeks of play.
Yeah, no, it's really nice, right, just to see the adjustments coming through. I thought these maps came from a great kind of set of maps as well. We have the TLMC tournament to decide maps and have a contest basically and to test them out. And honestly, out of the last few years I've been doing this, tens of map tournaments at this point, this was the strongest set of 16 candidates. And it was like, wow. Well, oh no, the Reaper gets
He messed up his ledge. Oh no. Okay. So I believe the pylon does need to be in the ledge wall to make that one work. MaNa with a small mistake, and funny that Vindicta took this long to figure out that opening was there, but it works out perfectly. He sees the Twilight upgrading. He doesn't see the Robo and the Natural just yet. Yep. There you go.
He's going to get it as well. Yeah, obviously one of the reasons you generally want to just build the wall the way MaNa did is with that pylon back from the wall, you can put your tech structure there, and so it isn't easily scoutable, because if they are blocked, you don't get to see the tech structure, whereas if the pylon's in the wall, you do get to see the tech structure.
Yeah.
But doesn't count, of course, if the Reaper doesn't get walled off, because then he gets to waltz in, and see a bit of everything. Prism on the way up straight away, so we are just going to go diving into a bit of a pressure. We are going to add 2 more gateways as well, so there we go. I was going to say, I'm like, ooh, only 2 gates in the end of Prism? Yeah, we're going to go up to 4, and we're really going to get this rolling for MaNa here very soon with some crazy aggression.
Well, look at the ledge of the main in Vindicta's base, right? There is such a giant ledge. It's really nice because it covers the third on the low ground. You can see each tank's up there. Yet not so good when Blink Stalkers are blinking into your main base. It's very frightening. So MaNa's going to have a huge angle to work aggressively. Vindicta needs to have his building positioning down. I don't know if he even built a single siege tank. And he's building a tech lab. Oh. He's not going to have a tank ready for the first blink in.
Yeah, he really needs to rely on these Widow Mines to somewhat slow MaNa down, maybe get a warp in back at home, because if he doesn't get that, he has nothing to defend with right now. That Raven will have an auto turret, perhaps. I feel like this extra couple Stalkers will come in soon as MaNa's gateway's finished. Blink is about to be done. He might just blink into the main and then warp into the main base, his extra few Stalkers. And now he's just going to start dealing damage already, and that factory is still building add-ons, by the way, so really not great. There is the Widow Mine drop heading into the natural soon, so that will be happening while this fight happens. So multitasking galore as the Widow Mine drop begins, and MaNa's response is absolutely nothing. Kaboom, kaboom, and somehow only 4 probes.
Only 4 probes, though, and he just had nothing in his main. He was doing a very greedy build, Wardy. Not only going for the Widow Mine drop, but going for the Raven, not useful against this attack. Not using his factory to build any siege tanks. He just doesn't have the numbers. MaNa with a crisp timing attack, and it is a hard counter to Vindicta's build.
Yep, absolutely no. There's just no good way to do this at this point for Vindicta, as he is in so much trouble. GG is called, and MaNa next game.